Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us here today. My name is Gene Quinn. Appreciate you signing up for this webinar. We have not yet started. We will start here momentarily. I'm just talking to fill the silence so that you don't wonder whether your speakers are on and whether we've started yet. We have not started just yet. We will start here momentarily and let people enter the room here. It always takes folks a minute or so to get from the waiting room into the Zoom room. And our numbers are still growing pretty good there. It looks like we're starting to plateau a little bit. I'm sure we'll get more people join us over the first few minutes, but we can proceed. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Gene Quinn. We really appreciate you being here for this webinar. The conversation today is going to be about what modern in-house IP teams really need from AI as we flip the calendar, and now we're in 2026, which is really hard to believe. It does what my parents used to say is the older you get, the faster time moves. And it does seem as if that is the case. It's shocking, but true. And in 2026, we've got a lot going on with AI. It is not the AI that if you haven't been paying attention, you're unfamiliar with what AI can do today. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, among other things. But what I'd like to do is kick it over to Renee so she can introduce our speakers. So Renee, please.
Certainly. So on our panel today, we have Shirin Tefa. She is Senior Director and Associate General Counsel of IP at Dexcom, where she leads global patent strategy enforcement and IP operations, supporting their cutting-edge continuous glucose monitoring technologies. She oversees a broad portfolio spanning software, data analytics, communications, and AI-enabled digital health innovation. With more than 15 years of experience across in-house and private practice, including senior roles at Qualcomm, Shirin is known for building forward-looking IP strategies and modernizing IP operations through legal technology and data-driven decision-making. Next, we have Eleanor Marion. She leads the business development at DeepIP, where she works closely with in-house IP teams and law firms to drive adoption of AI in patent workflows. She brings a unique perspective on how organizations integrate AI into established legal processes and collaborates effectively with outside counsel. Prior to DeepIP, she was SVP and Head of Revenue Operations at Kaiko, and earlier spent over a decade in international M&A investment banking across Hong Kong, London, and Paris. And finally, we have Gene Quinn. He's a patent attorney and a leading commenter on patent law and innovation policy. He founded IPWatchdog in 1999 and since has twice been named one of the top 50 most influential people in IP. He is regarded as an expert on software patentability and U.S. patent procedure and has repeatedly been recognized as one of the top IP strategists in the world. So you're in good hands with this panel. Back to you, Gene.
Great. Thanks a lot, Renee. And thank you again for joining us here. We have a few poll questions that I'm going to start to launch right away. They really did just give us an idea of who you all are in the audience. So I'm going to launch the first one here as we turn to our panelists and ask them to give us their preliminary thoughts. Sharon, I'll start with you, and Eleanor, I'll ask you the same question. Big picture, what is it that you think people should have in mind as we start the conversation here today? Sharon.
Thanks, Jane. I'd like to start just by noting that while I'll be talking a lot about my experience at Dexcom, my opinions are my own. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to be using a lot of examples from other people I've talked to. I've talked to a lot of people across our industry and have some insight from them as to what they're looking for. So what I say shouldn't be necessarily attributed to Dexcom's practice. I think one of the most important things for people to have in mind from what I've seen with AI is to have an open mind. I think what happens with AI is you really get two polar opposite opinions. A group says AI can't do anything, it hallucinates. And then you've got the other side who says AI is coming for our jobs and it's going to do everything it can. And I think looking at what AI can do so far, I see it as AI is a great tool that we can use, but it does not replace human judgment. And especially in our practice where there is a certain, I call it the nose, for what's right and what's going to work. AI is really a great tool to get you to that answer faster, but it's not going to replace the practitioner. What I would like us to really get to with AI is really understanding where are the right places to use that tool and where are the right places to then use the extra time we have as practitioners to really be strategists. So that's really what I would keep in mind as we're going through this. Is a lot of my strategies and my conversation is going to be around how to best balance and optimize where we use AI and then what we do with that extra time in other areas where AI is not the best use case.
Great, excellent. Thank you, Sharon. Eleanor.
Thank you, Sharon. I totally agree with you. Even as an AI vendor, that AI is really far away from replacing human judgment and expertise. I think what I would like people to have in mind at the start of this conversation is kind of the shift in terms of expectation from in-house counsel that we have experienced at DeepIP over the last 18 months. So I would say in 2024, early 2025, we were in discussion with in-house counsel, mostly drafting and prosecuting internally. So they were looking for tools to execute faster. They were looking for efficiency gain to draft faster and basically draft also better patterns. But what we have started to experience with since I would say mid 2025 is the shift in terms of expectation, and it's also related to the maturity of the underlying technology. So at the beginning, like 18 months ago, LLM were very good at handling raw data, what we called structured data, like text, to digest a massive amount of text and to perform a task based on an instruction you provide the tool. Whereas now the underlying technology has evolved, is able to process text, images, videos, and most importantly, to reason on complex data sets very fast. And so the underlying expectation from in-house counsel now is really about finding a tool that will help them stay on top of competition, to make strategic decision basically at every step of the patent lifecycle.
Excellent. Great. So I just posted so you all can see in terms of how big the portfolio is of the folks who are here joining us today, really all over the map. We have some that are a little on the smaller side. We have some that are quite large and almost equally distributed among them, which is great. And then for the first question, first I got to stop sharing that one and before I can start sharing this one, we have a heavy in-house audience, just to let you all know. So 2/3 of the folks are in-house IP counsel, probably not surprising given how we characterize what it is that we're going to talk about here today, but just want to let our speakers know that so that we know who it is we're talking to. And I'll just say in my very brief preliminary remarks here, and this was in the text for the registration page, so I assume that all of you have read it. DeepIP does have, and they're the sponsor, and we really appreciate you for sponsoring this, so thank you for doing that. They have some drafting tools. We're not going to focus on the drafting today, so encourage you, if you need drafting tools, though, consider DeepIP, give them a look. But today is about strategy, and what we tried to explain in the registration is about the explainable intelligence. There's a lot of things that can be gained, and heretofore you wouldn't even undertake these projects because they're just too massive, and you don't know whether you're going to find anything. But when you can undertake these projects, and even if you don't find something, well, that's information too. But if you find insights, what do you want to do with those insights? And what insights are maybe you looking for? And what are you looking to leverage? So this is all about strategy today. So what I'd like to do, and we didn't rehearse this. I refuse to rehearse webinars because I want them to come out organically. We did choreograph this one a little bit, and I'm going to change up some of how we do it normally. If you're with us for other webinars, because I'm going to go back to Sharon, and what I would like to ask you, Sharon, is to give us an idea about Dexcom and what you do and how to lay the field, and then also if you can work into your answer, and if you don't, I'll prompt you again. But what is it that you're hoping for? What are your hopes and dreams for AI and why? And we had this conversation during our pre-call. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was going to be a great way to start this webinar. So, Sharon, please take it away.
All right. So for those of you that don't know, Dexcom produces continuous glucose monitors. We're in the medtech field. So if you've seen anyone wear, it's a little circle goes here, a circular strip, and then it measures continuously your glucose levels for people. And one of the shifts that's happened at Dexcom in the past few years is that Dexcom has changed its mission statement from helping people control their diabetes to helping people control their health. And what that really is a reflection of is that what we started as was an innovator to try and help people with diabetes. What we found is that glucose is actually a driving factor in so many things everyone does and in living a healthy life as a whole. So what we've done is expand, and with the expansion of, I'm sure you guys have seen it all on the news, of wearables as a whole, where we're going as a company is really understanding how to play in that wearable market as an innovator to bring into everyone's home the idea of monitoring how you eat, what you eat, and how your body reacts to what you eat. What that does in terms of innovation for us is that it really widens where we can innovate, but it also asks that we focus, that we find what's the right places to innovate. It also widens the market for us, right? When we were first coming up, we had a very defined area where we had defined competitors, we had defined products, and we had defined customers. And with sort of our move into being in a broader health category, what we now have is a much larger market that's growing by the day. And really, it's pushed us to really think about our portfolio differently. It's pushed us to really think about what's coming in the future and how do we think of our portfolio today as things move. It's almost like how AI is right now. It's so fast that you have to keep up with it on a daily basis. Now, that's how it is in the health space right now, in the wearable space right now. It's moving fast. There is new people coming to the market every day, and there's things changing, even from a government level. The way wearables are viewed and the way health is viewed has changed. So we really have to keep up with that and really think about how to build a portfolio that's withstand the test of time, really doing that. So what we're hoping for with AI is that it can help us make those decisions faster. One of the unique things maybe about Dexcom is that we have what I would call a hybrid model. We do some strategic drafting in-house. We provide all of our strategies to our outside counsel, and then we hand out the actual drafting to our outside counsel. What that means is that our in-house counsel is a strategist. They have to understand the portfolio enough to be able to build strategies that are not just based on that single case, that are based on the entire portfolio and based on what the competitors are doing and how the market's going. So really what we're looking for in AI is to help us be better strategists and to see the holistic picture as it's expanding and growing.
Yeah, this is fascinating because it gets us into an awful lot of stuff. And Eleanor, I'd like you to comment on this too, and about how maybe you're seeing companies like Dexcom consider using these tools. The thing that jumped to my mind, and I think it'll come up probably later on in the hour, is landscaping, looking for what competitors are doing, looking for, and you can also be with these tools looking for what competitors who you don't know are competitors yet, but they're planting the seeds, to get into this. So this is why I wanted to start with this, because I think it's fascinating use case that is with some forethought. Almost any company that's innovative could is probably facing these same problems. And if they don't know they're facing these problems, hopefully this will they'll open their eyes. But Eleanor, what are your thoughts?
I agree with you. It's fascinating to see an organization like Dexcom kind of through the help of AI, kind of take back control over the strategy, the ownership of the claims, how broad you want to claim to cover based on the state of the art, the existing prior art. Whereas what we felt is that and so basically what we feel is that AI is an enabler of increased collaboration. So some it used to be a bit siloed with research and development team with some friction with first the in-house counsel, then handing over the information to the external counsel, where some loss of key strategic information and relying heavily on the outside counsel to kind of tailor the strategy with many back and forth. It's kind of so I feel like AI today can definitely optimize, streamline collaboration uh, by empowering in-house counsel to really keep control over their own portfolio of patent and the strategy and guidelines they want their external counsel to follow.
Excellent. Good. So, and we're going to come back to this here in a minute, and just to let you know, our last question about who is in the audience. We have people from a variety of different sizes of organizations in terms of at least the patent function. Some that are smaller, most are probably on the smaller side, which is all the more reason why you guys need help out there to do what it is that you can do and need to do, or should want to do, that whole sort of thing. So, why don't we do this? Eleanor, I know you've got some slides you'd like to go through, and I think we also have a video. So let's do those two things now, and then we can get back to the conversation. And then also, if anyone has any questions as we're going through this, just please put it in the Q&A box, and we'll go from there. But Eleanor, please go ahead and show us your slides.
Thank you, Jean. So I'll be brief as we will have a short video following this slide deck just to introduce DeepIP, who we are and what we do. Let me just activate the slideshow. Can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, good.
Great. So DeepIP, we are an AI platform for patent. We help patent practitioners throughout the entire life cycle. We are, so I'll go over this slide in a few seconds, but just as a recap, we are a 2-year-old company with a team spread across the US with our go-to-market team and Europe with our product and technical team. We started 2 years ago at the beginning of the life cycle with, as I said in the beginning, our drafting and prosecution module. And since then, we have extended our value proposition from invention harvesting, patentability, throughout file opinion and litigation, as well as patent intelligence, portfolio management. Yeah, in terms of module, so as I said, we are a platform, no longer a software just tackling one specific task as we used to do in the beginning with drafting and prosecution. We offer today a modular approach covering not yet the full life cycle of a patent, but a significant part. And our ambition is to go further down with evidence of use, infringement, licensing, training to cover really the full life cycle. But this modular approach allow you to start really from wherever you want. So you have full control. Some in-house team are organized by teams that focus on portfolio intelligence. The other one, the relationship with the research and development team. Some other in-house counsel are organized by product type within the organization. So it's modular and it's kind of will fit into your workflow. And that's a vision that we truly believe at DeepIP, not to disrupt the way you work, not to disrupt your workflow. That's why our tool is as well fully integrated into Word. In terms of client base, we serve both corporation and law firm across 5 continents. We, for a few corporation we work for, Philips, ASM, and I think maybe the key takeaway from this slide is that we see we basically saw the need from collaboration from our existing client base with a lot of corporation, putting us in touch with their law firm and really wanting all parties across the value chain to benefit from a solution like DeepIP. I think that would be the key takeaway of this slide. And last slide, how we differentiate ourselves. There are many players on the market. So first, we are fully compliant, secure and confidential, SOC 2 Type 2, ISO 27001. We are we are this simpler tool on the market. So with being fully integrated into Word, you can call the AI whenever you need it. You don't need to rely on DeepIP for every section of your application, for instance. We are fully integrated into your workflow, meaning IPMS, Word integration, integrated with key jurisdiction. We are compliant and reliable. So each time you ask DeepIP to perform something, you will have the reference, the quotation of the cited art. Sometimes using AI can be extremely beneficial, but if it takes you as much time to check if the tool is not hallucinating, then it's counterproductive. And the tool is also collaborative by design, meaning you can work with colleagues on the same project. And we offer a 2 weeks free trial if you're interested to test our solution.
Great, excellent. So that gives us a little bit of information here. And one of the things we did definitely, maybe I'll just quickly ask Shirin to comment on this before we move into the video, though, is because we wanted to discuss collaboration, and that was something that came up there, where you have the law firms and the in-house teams are using these tools. Is that an area where you think there's going to be a big leap forward with these new AI platforms that are moving towards platforms and not just the tools?
Yeah, I think collaboration is going to be a big area where we can all really understand how to use IP AI to, as I said, the biggest challenge with AI is going to be how do we redefine the practice. Right now, the practice is defined as a very, either in-house does all of the drafting and they have no outside counsel, or outside counsel does all of the drafting and in-house is just providing their feedback. You've got some hybrids, but really what these tools can do is really redefine collaboration. And it's going to be really important that they provide the tools to allow us to experiment with what the right amount of collaboration is, I think, because what we've had sometimes difficulty with transferring is when I look at something and I have a strategy, I would have to sit with someone outside counsel and explain to them the entire strategy that sometimes is really hard to articulate. With AI, we might be able to transfer that thought process easily to our outside counsel and then have them sort of review that and then go into their section of doing things. So I do think it might remove some of that friction of how we work with outside counsel, because right now, the time sometimes it takes me to explain that strategy and the strategic thinking behind something to outside counsel is almost sometimes the same amount of time it would take me to do the rest of the work. Whereas right now, it makes it really easy to maybe share that knowledge and that knowledge space so that we can both live in almost the same mind space and really take advantage of that singular place where all the knowledge can be shared.
Okay, excellent, good. All right, so Eleanor, you have the video that we wanted to show. Why don't we go and show that, and then we can come back and talk more and take some questions as well.
When it comes to using DeepIP for in-house teams, we're able to support you across the patent lifecycle. We have a number of modules that are able to assist you in this process, and so we'll begin with a short demo of each. For the patentability module, you're able to work with your team to find out which ideas are actually patentable. By uploading information from your inventor or engineer, you're able to brainstorm patent ideas, evaluate patentability of a concept, launch a prior art search, and even prepare a formal invention disclosure. Now you can share this with your team or outside counsel to get started faster on the drafting process. Next, we'll review the drafting module. Similar steps to get started, except you have the ability to generate a style. This can be done by uploading a patent that you've already completed so that our tool can copy the structure, length, and tone of how you like to write your documents. From there, you'll add your documents for context based on these, and from there, you'll set up your preferences. We work within a number of jurisdictions today, languages as well, and it's important to select the industry that best suits you. Based on the context documents uploaded, you're going to be able to get started in completing your draft. You're able to generate a full claim set within seconds. Go back and forth with the tool with our chat box at the bottom here to refine what was created, and once you're happy with the result, insert this directly into the document. Feel free to do this for any of these and quickly get started on your draft. DeepIP also assists when it comes to responding to office actions. Create your project, select your preferences, and from there, if it's USPTO, we're able to pull the application number and get the file wrapper automatically, or feel free to manually upload these items to get started. Once the documents are uploaded, you can reference them on the left-hand side, and our tool runs an analysis on all of the issues. For each issue, we prepare 4 to 8 strategies in the form of amendments or arguments. Chat with the tool about these strategies or prompt it to draft a claim amendment, and from there, you'll easily be able to respond to your office action faster. Our tool also supports freedom to operate and invalidity searches. Begin by uploading a claim set or a link for Google Patents. From here, you can search for patents, select the jurisdictions, patent status, priority, and if you'd like to specify which assignees to prioritize and which to avoid. From there, conduct your search. Once the search is complete, which will take about 2 to 5 minutes, we provide you with a comprehensive claim chart. This is a quick overview of the modules available within DeepIP. We're absolutely happy to go through a longer demo if you'd like to take a deep dive on any of the modules covered today. We look forward to working with you and your in-house team.
I see you on mute, Jean.
Muted there. Sorry about that. Apologize. So, Shrin, any thoughts on how you could see using these tools? I know one of the things that I think we're going to want to talk about was the importance of discovering what is potentially patentable, and then maybe also the white space that would be available as early as possible. Can you talk about that maybe a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely think that one of the areas that we're really interested in exploring is not just what is patentable, but what's the right areas to innovate in. One of the purposes we serve is really to be an innovation driver. And we have a very, very knowledgeable and inventive group of people, but sometimes it helps to focus them on the right areas because they really see so much opportunity. So one of the things that we would like to use AI for and DeepIP for is really to be able to identify the right spaces where there's a lot of opportunity for innovation. Because what that does then is even before, if you think about it in the traditional sense, what you could do is once you got inventions, you could then, or invention disclosures, you could put them through a prior art search or inventiveness search and see what comes out of them and maybe try and iteratively bring more into it. But opportunity you can have when you have a tool like this is to landscape and really find what is already out there in areas you're interested in. And as you said, where are people playing that you're interested in the space? And that can help you really come up with a strategy for where to innovate. Mm-hmm. It's really about understanding, I'm interested in this space. What does the white space look like? It's not, as I said, it's not going to do all the work for you, because at the end of the day, as IP practitioners, we understand where the right places are once we see those areas of white space. Mm-hmm. But what it can do in the beginning is cut out some of that. What we used to do this. We used to pay, a good amount of money to have landscape searches done. And what they are is expansive searches where you search through everything in an area to try and see what it looks like. And you might be able to do that faster and really have it summarized. So then you can step into the next step, which is now the practitioner looks at it and really tries to identify the right spaces where they can innovate.
Well, it would also seem to me that with the use of AI, and let me even take a step back. One of the frustrating things about doing landscape work up till the advent of AI is you'd have this idea, you'd want to know this answer, or maybe you're just searching literally for the needle in the haystack and you don't even know whether there's a needle and you're not even sure there's a haystack, to be honest. So and then you go through, and those searches in that project done properly took a very long time. And then when you would get it back, you'd look at it and you could sometimes very quickly realize, this is not what I wanted. I wanted a different focus, or a different, or if I had seen this early on in the search, I would have either pulled the plug, or I would have changed the parameters. I would have moved here or there. And so then you wind up with all that time, money, and investment. Usually, a lot of times you're hiring somebody else to do that. It's just wasted. Whereas with AI, if you don't prompt it properly to get what it's like instantaneous. Okay, well, that has got all the answers at its disposal. If it's not giving me what I wanted, it's me. I got to figure it out. And you can kind of wrap your arms around it. Are you finding that as well, Sharon?
Yeah, definitely finding that. First, going back to what I said, which is a lot of the problem with I will call it collaboration, was this idea of, I want to almost be a fly on the wall when someone's doing a search, a landscape search, or I want to be a fly on the wall where someone's drafting my application. Because what we were finding is, as you said, they would do these landscape searches. They would take a really long time. They would cost a lot of money. They would come back with results that, were curated. And then you'd see them and say, I see why you went this way, but if I had seen it earlier, I could have changed a little bit to push you this way, because this is what I want. And that's what like AI kind of allows you to do, because you're driving it and you're sort of able to talk to it, and you're able to give it the right feedback to get you to where you want to go faster, but also being part of the conversation. And I think that's what's different is, when you've done a landscape search and you've spent, let's say, $35,000 on it, and it comes back, at that point you spent a lot of time on it. You need to provide something. You almost don't want to go back, so you try to make shift what you have into something you can work with. Whereas when you're doing it in AI, it's so much easier to go in, reiterate, try to get it better, because it's faster, because you have the opportunity to do it. And it's not just the fact that it's faster, it's the fact that you can provide so much more strategy to it in a real-time manner. It's that's different. The other thing that's really important is you can change your mind based on the things you see on the screen right away, right? So as you said, when you see it and you see that it's not there, you can right away think of, what did I do that's maybe I'm not articulating it well enough. Whereas when I hand off that search and it goes and doesn't come back for 3 weeks, let's say, that's a really fast search actually, but let's say it's 3 weeks, and it comes back, then I have to go back to the drawing board and say, what did I not articulate well? You get to see that so much faster. You get to really understand and learn how to articulate. Whereas with a searcher, you might get different searchers, and that language doesn't become a shared language between you and a searcher. Whereas with AI, you can learn how to speak to it, how to articulate what you're looking for.
Well, and it also learns you as well, right? I mean, it also has the ability to know how you want things delivered and what it is that you're thinking about, which, long term, once, I think after we all retire and AI is gained consciousness, we're in no risk of that happening soon, but you kind of want it not to remember. But but right now it does remember, and it does get better the more that you use it. I shouldn't say better. It gets better at understanding what you want and how you want it delivered.
It can. I think what it is actually you get better at articulating it to it what you want. It's really about, I think it again goes to that human expertise.
Yep.
You know how to articulate. AI is really a simple set of, at the end of the day, if you really think about it, it's a set of zeros and ones. It does not live in the gray zone. What you do is you learn how to deliver the gray to it within the zeros and ones, and
Hmm.
that helps it understand you better.
Yeah.
I think it's really I sometimes say if I could just spend some time with this tool, even like more than I do now, which is a lot, I could really understand what to get out of it. And it's really about you becoming better at speaking in the zeros and ones that it understands and articulating the gray to it,
Right.
because it's a lot of gray.
Yeah, there is. So before I ask a question, Eleanor, is there anything that you want? I saw you shaking your head a couple times there, so I'd like to give you an opportunity to comment if you'd like.
Thank you, Jean. No, thank you for sharing, Sharon. I really agreed with what you said. And I think another maybe aspect that where AI can bring value for tasks like landscaping, competition monitoring, as you said, like search by third party, charting used to be extremely time consuming, and it was usually done by corporation on a quarterly, biannually basis. Whereas with AI, you have this continuous monitoring that really help stay on top of competition, or at least to have a clear understanding of what is happening on the market, and to some extent adapt your strategy, your IP strategy based on that. So I think that was an aspect that I think where AI can definitely bring value is this continuous monitoring throughout throughout the business exercise. Sometimes there was a feedback from some head of IP I talked to saying like, no, our goal is really to better collaborate with our C-level, not to be perceived as a cost center, but really as the strategy, the core strategy of our organization. And I think by being able to perform this continuous monitoring and provide this strategic information to C-level is will also help, as we say in French, like put the church back in the middle of the town, like really put IP in the center of the organization.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to come back to that here as well, because that's really where you get the collaboration and also the ability to use this data to explain things to executives. It becomes very important. But we do have a question that I thought maybe we'd tackle it here is how do how would AI find the gaps when you're doing this kind of a search, a landscape search? Now, I don't know whether you guys have thoughts. My thought on that is it's going to it's going to behave, one, how you tell it to behave, of course, but two, just the same way that a person does, because you can't actually find a gap. What you find is a hole. So what you're doing is a search, and you're finding a whole bunch of different stuff, and then it's identifying, well, we didn't find anything here. Well, then you refine your searches and you try and see, well, is there anything there, or is that really a black hole that's where there's nothing there? And it's iterative. The thing about AI, though, is the iterations can happen seemingly almost instantaneously. Now, it does, I think, at the end of the day, require a human in the loop in order to continue to look at this and make sure that it's not just that there's a gap in what the AI was looking for or at, but that it really is missing. And that's something I think you could find, pretty quickly. Um, how did I do, Eleanor? Is that sort of what's going on here when you're doing this kind of stuff?
It's a tough question even for me, as I'm not the
I mean, there's a technical answer, and I suppose we could.
engineer behind
Yeah, we could
DeepIP.
get you a technical answer. I'm not so much interested in the technical because there is a technical answer, and we could follow up with that. But just conceptually, how do you
I
suggest
think
that
no, I
people
think
use them?
it's a very good comment. Look, I think AI is pretty good at finding overlaps, charting like claim charting, even product description charting, and finding overlaps within a set of prior art
Mhm.
and coming with a table. Whereas where it may be a bit more difficult is to really find the white space, as you were saying. Probably, and you will probably need, as Sharon was saying, to refine with the AI over and over. I don't feel that that's something maybe needs to be tasted within DeepIP. You could prompt like, find me the white space in my industry or for this
Yeah,
specific
yeah, no.
product.
No, but there's something there. I mean, sure, maybe you could comment on this. I mean, because it seems like when you're looking for what AI is really good at is taking a big chunk of data, like enormous, like unreadable. We would spend our whole lives reading through this and condensing it to tell you what is there and summarizing it. And then so we just need to get good at telling, okay, now that we know that what's there, well, what's not there? And I almost think that part of these, and maybe you can comment on this, really benefit from you, the user, brainstorming with the AI as you're iterating through this process. Thoughts?
Yeah, and that's exactly why I said what AI does isn't the landscape. What AI does is it helps you think through it really fast,
Mhm.
right? So what you're doing is you're probably when you're doing a white space, as Eleanor said, I wouldn't come in and say, hey, give me 5 areas I should innovate in. I'm probably coming in with some sort of idea of some needs that I know exist, some things
Right.
that we're looking at as a company, right? We have uh, roadmaps, we've thought about the business aspect of it. We're really coming in with these ideas of here's where the business can go. And then what we can do is we can come in and then look at that area, as you said, look at what's there, what has been done, and then really use that to iterate through and really get to the answer. Why it's different than doing a traditional landscape search is in a traditional landscape search, if I said, here's the 5 things we're thinking of doing, and it went back and came back and gave me, let's say, 20 references or 20 patents in that area. And all of them were nothing close to it. I'm not sure if there was better things that weren't found. I was so specific on what I wanted to do. I'm
Yeah.
not right. With AI, I can challenge it in real time and be like, well, okay, you didn't find this, but what about this? You
Well,
so
and the other thing too is anytime I ever did a landscape, and we did at the beginning earlier in my career a lot of this for small companies, particularly when I was at Syracuse University, we had a clinic there, and this was one of the ways we were helping the local businesses, the local innovative businesses was to they would have an innovation. They wouldn't know exactly, well, it could do any number of things. Well, tell us what it could do. And we'd have these brainstorming sessions where we would see, well, what is it that you think it could do? And then we would ask questions, and we create a list, and the list would get longer. And then certain things would say, oh, well, that would take too long to develop, and so you're whittling it. So you're not starting from nowhere. You're starting and saying, this is what we've discovered. This could do all kinds of different things. What we want to know is one, where's the marketplace in short enough time to invest, and is anybody else there? And if you can do that, and the thing is with AI, if you could do that really fast, then rather than picking like one or two that seem promising, you could pick a 10 or a dozen of them, and game this out, and then start to pick, and then start to hone it down because it's all about time. I mean, I'm
yeah,
getting excited because I used to do a lot of this, so I see how this is going to be extraordinarily helpful. And where this is going to start to get really helpful is, and I know we wanted to talk about this as well as with your products and your roadmaps and your revenue. Like I was saying, where are you going to get some money quickest? Is a big question. Not the only question, because where's the money going to be the biggest is another factor. But you also want to know, well, if it's going to take 10 years to get to the big money, well, that maybe isn't as attractive as lesser money, but you can get there in a year to two. And then all of that information, bundling it and packaging it in a way you can deliver it to the non-IP executives who are actually going to greenlight any of this. So there's a lot on the table. I'd like you both to comment on it. Sharon, I'll give you the platform first.
Yeah, the other interesting thing just to keep in mind, which I think is really exciting, is when you get somewhere like what you explained, where the business says there's 10 places we can go. What you have at that point is you sort of got two things to solve. You first have to say, okay, how crowded is that space? What is my freedom to operate? And then what's the white space? How much can I innovate in this space? Mm-hmm. What you can do with AI is you can almost do both at the same time. Whereas if you had to do both those searches, those are two different searches. You have to do those searches separately if you were doing them, because one of them has to do with the claims and one of them has to do with the disclosure. We would run into this problem a lot where we would say, well, we want to do an FTO and we want to do a landscape, but those are two different searches. So we have to kind of, right. And that's one of the great areas is you're sitting in the driver's seat, and I say you, but it doesn't even have to be the in-house counsel per se, but you have someone sitting at the driver's seat can get you both of those questions and come at it from both places, but then to kind of combine them and say, okay, you've got XYZ who has certain patents in this area that you're going to need. Here are some white spaces, or even maybe here's what they're playing in. So you can even go after things that you think will help you leverage, will gain leverage in what you're doing. So really, it provides you a lot of area to think strategically. And that's what I said. I think one of the promises, at least for me, is the area of IP that I really enjoy is being the strategist. I used to joke and say, half of my job is strategy and half of it is being a typist. Because once you get and start typing, you're really just a typist. Once you've learned the strategy, it's just typing it down. And hopefully what it can do is get rid of the administrative burden. So really your brain is just doing strategy. And that's what my biggest wish list is for it, is to get rid of all the admin work for me, really the work that it should do well, and then let me just think about the strategy.
See that, and that was, I thought very early on as we started seeing these solutions roll out, that was really the magic sauce. That was really what this was going to do. And people were, and they not as much as they were, but they continue to unfortunately think AI is going to take away your job as an attorney. And I've never seen in my career I've seen, cases will take away your job. It's going to kill the industry. I've seen statutes are going to take this, now AI is going to take away your job. And in a world that just keeps getting more and more complex, the interesting thing is we as technologists and lawyers are more in demand. But what I think is the exciting thing is with these tools, now you don't have to go and do a search over in India, the cheapest search you could do because you might want to iterate the search, right? You could have AI do it, right? And then you get it quicker and you get to add why it was that we went to law school, the value add. We didn't go to law school to become typists. We didn't go to law school to be filing papers, and docketing. And what we went to do was we went to do the strategy and advising and building portfolios and deciding what to keep and what not to keep and when to stop investing in this prosecution because it all is lost. I mean, that's the fun stuff that we do. So, Eleanor, let me give you the platform here now for a minute, too, because there's a lot on the table here, and AI already does so many of these things very, very well. Where do you see, maybe to throw a question out, where do you see the most interest from the people who are starting to use the DeepIP platform? Where do they get most excited about what it can do?
Very good question. I think I'll answer both, like what they are currently excited about and what their wish list is in the short term, I would say, because the more customers are happy, the more they feel comfortable sharing how they feel in which direction the platform should evolve. And I think I'll talk about corporation I've been working with for almost a year. They are very excited about how they see the platform is helping them at different stages of the workflow and to kind of combine the approach. It's not only about drafting an application. Now you can use AI to make sure you assess better whether it's patentable or not. Better harvesting. I think there was a statistic like 30 to 40% of patent files bring little value. So really to avoid to waste money and energy on this type of patent, from deeper understanding and deeper collaboration as well between engineer, research and development team, where sometimes the information is siloed and they don't feel the need to collaborate. They don't feel the need of a patent basically. And so I think AI can help, as we discussed over and over during our session today, with collaboration, getting visibility, and DeepIP has shown that with our patentability module. You saw that on the video, and further down the line, you can also use a freedom to operate module before moving to drafting and prosecution. Same with invalidity. So I think people are excited to see that it's going to be a platform. It's not even going to be. It is already a platform, no longer performing specific tasks such as drafting and office action response. And in terms of wish list and the direction we have already taken, they are increasingly looking for a collaborative tool. So today you can already collaborate with colleagues within your own organization, within DeepIP. I think in terms of short-term roadmap is to allow that with all the parties involved, research and development, with law firm and with different rights and things people can or cannot do, cannot or cannot see. So really to improve this collaboration feature. The other thing is each corporation is unique. So they are looking for a tailored tool that, and they don't want basically to adapt to AI. That's really a feedback that is recurring. They want to find an AI solution that will adapt to their workflow, that will fit into their own infrastructure, providing the right level of confidentiality of data security. So we are working on that with IPMS integration. The word integration is really something that people really like, the fact that they don't have to change the way they work. Nobody wants to, if you want to, it's good to invest in tools that will help you, but you should not, on top of that, ask people to change the way they work.
Right.
So to have really a tool that is tailored to their organization, with where you can pre-fill your own organization template as well. And the last thing is really the layer of intelligence that you can extract from AI. With I think Sherin said that, but the way she collaborates with her external counsel, she shared strategies. She's co-built with a tool like DeepIP, and I think that really, people are expecting to be a sparring partner that will help you build stronger strategies, having a close monitoring of what's going on the competitive market. I know during our prep call, we mentioned how people didn't see that Apple was moving into watches, and that if they had monitored closely the IP market, they would have known that. So really, the third wish list is really to have the best strategic copilot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much here. And one of the other things too, and I know we're running short on time, I just want to get this out there. We've kind of focused on white space and then also have talked about freedom to operate. But one of the things that these tools can do, as I understand it, and maybe Sharon, you could comment as well, is about the continuously monitoring competitors, which I suppose is part of, or can be part of, a ongoing white space analysis and an ongoing freedom to operate analysis. But by doing that, you can also identify litigation risks and exposure and that sort of thing. Have you had the opportunity to be using it for that yet, or is that on your wish list for this year? You're going to start doing that?
Yeah, it's definitely on the wish list. We've started to test it out. We're working on really getting it there. It's interesting because it goes back to the same theme of, I used to sit with business people and tell them filing a patent is like throwing a dart with your eyes closed. If you land it, 5% of the time, you've done a really good job.
Yeah.
What it can do in terms of what you said and in terms of what we've talked about so far is really not only find your litigation risk, but help you articulate value by saying, hey, I'm not just going and throwing the dart with my eyes closed now. My eyes are wide open. I know the value I have. I can tell you which one of my patents are valuable against who now, which is something that was really hard because not that we couldn't do it. And that's the thing that's important to keep in mind. The human mind could do it. It's just, it couldn't be fast enough to get through it all.
Right.
If you have a company like ours that has, 1,200 patents, we're getting allowances every day to keep that up and check every one of them against the market would be impossible. We would need like 500 people to work.
Or even to check it against your products and your services.
Exactly.
And what's in process. I mean, these are tasks that that's why it's insightful to say that, filing patents is like closing your eyes and throwing a dart at a dartboard. Because for so long, that's what it was. It doesn't have to be that. Now, there's going to be, not to say that there's going to be perfect, you're going to hit the bullseye every time. No, because, technology has a way, other people are working on things, paradigms shift, technology doesn't work out. Sometimes you think it's going to be a big winner and the market just doesn't accept it for whatever a variety of reasons. But when your eyes are open, you hit the dartboard far more often than you do when they're not open.
And that's why I said it's never going to be like you're walking up and putting it on the target. But now at least your eyes are open.
Yeah.
And that's really what can change.
And I know maybe this is too long, but you did mention a key thing, and we're going to have to come back to this in another webinar. And I want to do more on this in 2026, which is communicating this to the non-IP executives. How do you take that information you're getting and maybe the answer that we could get in the time that we have, do you find that they are receptive to accepting the insights that you can provide them in ways that they weren't previously? And maybe not previously, but because you probably didn't even have that information to give them previously.
They've always been asking for it. That's
right.
The thing. The answer was always, okay, great. Give me another, $1 million and 5 more headcounts.
Right. And I can tell you.
Yeah. They've always been asking for it. They wanted it. They would love to have their eyes open as well as you're throwing the dart. So it's not that they are more receptive to it. They've always wanted it. It's that you can finally give them what they want without asking for that $1 million and 5 headcounts.
Excellent. So there is one question, and again, we won't do this justice, but I want to plant a flag in it. And I think maybe Thomas may have answered this one, but just to get your thoughts on it quickly as we start to wind up here. Sarah had posted a question that says, this is all about how good you are at prompting. How do you get better at prompting? Is there any training you suggest or any ways that you suggest, or is it right now still about a lot of just iteration?
It's a very good question and ongoing challenge, I would say. There are 2 ways the tool is trying to tackle that. One that is embedded within the tool, and the other one through training done by some of our team members with a legal background. But within the tool, so basically you have always 2 ways of interacting with DeepIP. You have pre-built prompts, so it's kind of to facilitate the first step, because people needs to be convinced that it can do something. Sometimes people can be afraid, so you can just need basically to click on pre-built prompt to get a first iteration, and then you'll be asked to comment on that. So naturally, humankind will just write any comments, and the tool will kind of. So it's I would say it's a beginner approach. Those pre-built prompts, and then you have the chat. And our most advanced user, they basically only interact with the chat because they know either they have, as you said, the tool can memorize the way you draft, the way you think, and you can save basically your preferred prompts. But people that are really comfortable prompting, they can either save their own prompts or do it on the go, and they see a very significant result by doing that, and they are comfortable doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just quickly jump in. I know we're almost out of time. I will say it's almost a different language. The
Yeah.
good news for IP practitioners is we already learned another language. We all speak patent. We can learn it. It's almost like learning to speak in zeros and ones. You really have to be particular and you really have to ask the right questions. The good news is because the feedback is real, you learn really fast what you did right and what you did wrong because you can test prompts against each other. You can prompt it this way and then tell it to go backwards and prompt it a different way, and you can see how it reacts to different prompts. So yes, it to me, it's like almost anything else. Practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the better you become. But it's also why I think AI is not coming for our jobs because when you don't prompt it well, it does not do well. And when you prompt it well, it does amazing things. And I think that's going to be part of our expertise going forward is that we know how to use the tool.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And we're going to have to leave it there more or less. I do want to give you an opportunity in rapid fire to give your final thought here. And while you might think about what it is that you want to leave people with as your final thought, I'll just remind everybody that and this has been a link has been provided to you in the chat. There's a 14-day trial that's available to you. So if you want to kick the tires here, it's a great opportunity to see if this is going to be the solution that you want it to be. I think it'll do an awful lot for you. So I'd encourage you all to give it a shot and kick the tires and see if it works for you and your organization. But Sharon, we'll start with you, and then Eleanor, I'll give you the final word here. What is your final thought here? If people can remember just one thing that we talked about today, what is that one thing?
My thought is I think everybody should try AI. And the reason I say that is I was lucky enough to see AI as it was kind of coming up. So I got to see it from the beginning and it's changing fast. And sort of if you don't have that basic knowledge, it's starting to go more and more advanced. You really got to get in fast. It's fast and it's changing fast. And I think that's my ask of everyone is keep an open mind. It's not perfect. It will not do everything perfect, but just trying it is going to give you that opportunity to get in at the ground level and learn it at the ground level before it starts to go whoosh over all of our heads.
Yeah, absolutely. We've thought for some time that maybe the people earlier in their careers were going to suffer as having, AI bypass what there's. I increasingly think that's not the case because those are the folks that know AI. They play with AI. They played with AI since it's been out, so they're far more advanced than just general AI. And all those lessons you learn in whatever AI tool you're using, whether it's just a general AI or for drawings or images or whatever does transfer because it starts to program your brain as to how does AI receive information, and being an expert in AI, I think, is going to be a ticket for a lot of younger people. But that's my final thought. So give Eleanor the final word.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Sharon, for your time. My final word is I encourage you, as Sharon said, to test AI solution because it is impacting the IP world. Be demanding. I think the underlying technology has evolved enough to meet the requirement of in-house counsel. It's not only about saving a bit of money, saving a bit of time. It's really helping you to stay on top of competition. So be demanding, compare tools, challenge them, and hopefully DeepIP will meet your requirements.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. That was a great conversation. Thank you all in the audience for joining us here today. That's all we have today. I hope we will see you all soon, and good luck playing with AI. That's the way forward. Bye for now, everybody.
Take care.